Hey there YouTube, Mr.Lubufu, finishing up Battle for Zendikar, complete pre-release primer, this time doing multicolored artifact, non-devoid colorless land. So we gotta go ahead and just hop right in. This again, focus is for limited to help you guys rock pre-release. Angelic Captain, 5 mana 4/3 flyer, great. When it attacks, +1/+1 for each other attacking ally, great. Super good card. Definitely, it's 2 colors, but if you end up in red-white, definitely a card you want to play. Bring to Light, probably less good in limited than it can be in constructed formats, since it's not going to fetch anything that can be too powerful at sorcery speed. But I don't think you're going to want to play this in limited. Brood Butcher is very good. So it's a 5 mana 3/3 that gets you a Scion, and you can sack a creature to give another creature -2/2. Black green has a ton of ways to make Scions, specifically green. So getting to use this repeatedly can be pretty insane, not gonna lie. Cards are rare for a reason. Brutal Expulsion, my favorite card of the set. It's insane. I love this card so much. I could sit here and talk about it all the time, but I love the card. It's great. Catacomb Scepter, very good uncommon. So it's a 3 mana 2/3, gets you a Scion, and whenever a creature dies that you control, you just get to scry one. Card's super powerful. Another very, 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 very good card. Drana's Emissary is great for the black-white life gain deck. It's also an ally, so triggers there. It's a 2/2 flyer for 3, so it's not unreasonable. You'll notice a lot of the multicolored cards in this format are pretty strong. Dust Stalker, very good for black-red aggressive. There is a black-red aggressive deck that exists. It's a 5/3 with haste, and if you control no colorless creatures, you return it to your hand, so it can dodge sorcery speed removal, but you probably will have a colorless creature, so it could be just bam, 5 damage from out of nowhere, which can really wreck people. They don't expect this card in turn 4. Fathom Feeder, it's great. It's a 1 mana Death Touch or 2 mana Death Touch guy for blue-black that can lets you draw cards late game. Cards superb. I like my cheap Death Touchers, and this is no exception. Forerunner of Slaughter, as I said, the black-red aggressive deck exists, and it's a 3/2 that can get haste. Very, very good card. Again, black-red has the aggressive shell, just like green-red has the aggressive landfall shell. This card's very good. So it's a 4 mana 3/3, and there are a lot of 4 mana 3/3s, but if it gets to attack as a 5/5 with trample, that's actually very huge in this format. Next, we have Groped Druids, another 4 mana 3/3. There's a lot of them. Whenever you get an ally, you can pay 1 to get a plant. It's okay. It's not great. It's not particularly bad. Like you can get some grindy value. Like I'll probably play this anytime I end up in green-white. So no complaints there. Herald of Koslak is my second favorite card in the set. So 3 mana 2/4 is huge in this format. 4 toughness is relevant. 2 power is relevant. It blocks everything, and color spells cost 1 less. Red has a lot of colorless spells, so you can really get a lot of value from it. I think it's very good. Kiora is great. I'm not gonna bother. I don't need to sugarcoat it. Everyone knows Kiora is great. March from the Tomb is certainly an interesting one. You can certainly build around it. I'm not sure if it's worth it, to be completely honest, but maybe. Mundo, on the other hand, is great. 4 mana 3/4 haste, super powerful. When he enters the battlefield, you get to basically put more allies on top, which is great. He's a bomb rare, red-white, one of the good colors for allies, so super happy to have this guy. Noyandar, Royal Shaper, also great. 5 mana 4/4, and not like the biggest body, but 4/4s are huge in this format. And when we cast an instant or sorcery, your lands become 3/3s. That's not bad. Card's pretty good. You notice a lot of the multicolored cards are just absurd. Like this guy. Yes, he's 7 mana, but once you get him in play, they're just dead. They need to have an answer right away. So if you cast him on turn 8 and get another land, there's no way they can win. They're in trouble. This guy's a complete bomb. You just have to be able to cast him. Resolute Blade Master, great in the red-white ally deck. He is just a 5 mana 2/2, but double strike is not an irrelevant effect. Next we have Royal Spout. Card is so good. So put target creature on top of its owner's library for 3. Already great. Awaken for 4, even better. This card's super nutty. Just like Sire. I can just keep going. All these multicolor cards are insane. This card's so good. It's 6 mana 5/7 that they can, if they play lands, you draw 2 cards. So good. So good. This card, probably one of the weaker multicolor cards, but it's still very powerful. You can get, it's at worst 2/2 flyer for 2. Undercosted Winddrake, great. 3 mana flying 3/3, also very good. So Skyrider Elf, pretty solid. Ulamog's Nullifier, it's a 2/3 flyer that you can counter a spell. It's like the closest thing we're gonna get to Mystic Snake. Card solid. I can just keep going. Like, there's so many good cards in multicolored. Veteran War Leader. Green white, not the best color for allies, but they exist, and typically you'd play, you'd play a little bit of red, play some Naya in there, but then you could tap an ally and you give them First Strike, Vigilance, or Trample, which is so powerful. Like, all of these multicolored cards are just insane in this format. When we go to artifacts, Aligned Hedron Network is pretty decent. You can exile just a lot of giant threats. If you're a small creature deck, this guy's pretty good. Hedron Archive, I think this card's gonna be very good in limited. I think it's gonna be really good, and I foresee it defining a lot of decks. Hedron Blade is not bad. It's better against the colorless creatures, but getting Death Touch is not the end of the world. Basically trades. I like Pathway Arrows more, because it says, hey, look, your colorless creature. Tap. 2 mana, tap a creature. It's not great, but it's not bad. Like, both of these are just okay. Pilgrim's Eye is super solid. It's just a 3 mana 1/1 flyer, but it fetches a land. Great for Converge. It's an uncommon for a reason. And Slabhammer, less like Slabhammer, though it's very good with landfall because you can guarantee you get landfall for the following turn. Now onto all the non-devoid colorless cards. Bane of Balaged is very good. Those of you that are familiar with Annihilator know that this card beats really hard. The fact it only has 5 toughness is its only downside, so if you can protect it from that, there's you get to attack with this once and you're already super far ahead. Blight Herder is essentially a blue-green card, because you have to put 2 cards from exile, and typically, like, blue has a ton of ways to abuse it, so this is basically for that, but otherwise it's just still a 5 mana 4/5, which is not bad. I could just say the same thing for, like, Breakbreaker of Armies. Super insane. It only costs 8, which is irrelevant. Like, 8 is not an unreasonable number to reach in draft. Or sealed. And it's a 10/8 that everything has to block it, which is so good. Card's great. Conduit Druid, another great card. Like, 6 mana for a 5/5, so it's completely castable, and then the first creature spell you cast costs you less. But then you also get to search your library for a giant eldrazi that you can cast next turn. So they have to kill it right away, or you basically get it. So super strong. I don't like Deathless Behemoth that much, but it's still a 6 mana 6/6. It still crushes people in the face. It still has Vigilance. The sacrifice to eldrazi Scions is probably going to be used not very often, since you have to activate it as a sorcery, but it's still pretty good. 6/6 Vigilance for 6. Can't complain. Desolation Twin. Okay, so let's lower the eldrazi hype train. Just let's leave it in the station here. 10 mana is probably too much in limited. You have to work really hard. If you can get there consistently, yes, this card is absurd. 20 power probably just wins you the game. Eldrazi Devastator, 8 mana, great. Trample, great. 8/9, great. Super giant finisher. Don't mind having this guy in most decks. Endless One, X mana for an XX. That is playable in every single deck. It's like an early creature if you need an early creature. It's great late. It's just always fits your curve. Card's super absurd. You can take it early on in draft and not be worried about what colors you're in because you have that guy. It's great. I am not a huge fan of Gruesome Slaughter. Though you can build your deck around it, it's still pretty sketchy. I'm not gonna lie. I think this might be too cute for limited. Maybe it isn't. Maybe I'm wrong on this, and I'll admit if I'm wrong on it. Koslak's Janitor is great because it has 4 power and 4 toughness. Yay! 4/4s are so good in this format. Comes down on turn 5, which is a little bit on the slow side, and then ramps you from there. So you really need it if you have other big Eldrazi. But it's still a 5 mana 4/4, so I play this card in most decks. Oblivion Sower is a nut bomb. I don't have to say anything else. The card's great. I'm not a huge fan of Ruin Processors. Sometimes you're just gonna play it because it's just a giant 7/8 for 7. But I think this is one of the Eldrazi that you can probably skimp on. Scour from Existence. 7 mana to exile a permanent. 7 mana is a lot. 7 mana is a lot. So if you have ways to consistently like lower the cost or cast it reliably, then don't worry about it. Otherwise, probably hold off on it. Titan's Presence is very good if you have a bunch of colorless creatures. It's better in the red decks, but if you have just a random Eldrazi, the card's pretty strong. I like it. Ulamog, I mean, same thing I said about Desolation Twin. If you can get to 10 mana consistently, guys, bonkers. If you can't, maybe. Maybe you want to hold off on him. I don't know. I, for one, gonna be jamming Ulamog and trying to make him work, because I think he's pretty good. Well, that's kind of understates him. He's great if you ever cast him. Once he's on the stack, he's great. Ulamog's Despoiler, 6 mana for a 5/5, unreasonable. Like, not the best thing you want. But if you're in blue and you get to exile 2 cards, again, I say blue because blue has the most ways to abuse this. A 6 mana 9/9, that thing's pretty good. Pretty good. And lastly, Void Winnower, 9 mana is a lot. Of course, we're in the Eldrazi realm. But if you can cast this guy, pretty solid. Again, it's the sort of like, once you get to 9 mana, that's where you actually have to build your deck in a smart way. You might not get to it consistently enough. And lastly, on to lands. Ally Encampment, play it if you play allies. Blighted Cataract, play it if you play blue. You don't want to play too many of these, but you probably won't end up with too many of them. Blighted Fen, play it if you play black. Blighted Gorge, play it if you play red. You just get so much value from it, and if you're not being super greedy with your mana base, you can basically play one of these for free, which is not bad. It's actually very good. We've got the dual lands. Play them if you're in there in colors. You can splash colors with these for your converge cards. Evolving Wilds, super critical in this format because of landfall and mana fixing, so it's great. Fertile Thickets, okay. It's one, like, these ones are just fine. Again, the early turns are not going to be super influential, so you can use them using your Fertile Thicket and the like. Like, we're going to get to the other ones once you get past the basics. So Looming Spires, +1/+1 in first strike. Not bad with landfall. Like, you'd play this card in your red decks. Lumbering Falls, you play it in the green-blue decks. Putting a creature card from your library on top of your graveyard from the library. This probably comes in late game, so you don't play it on turn 1 because it comes into play tapped, but it still can be fine. Like, in late game when both players are in top deck mode, getting a good creature is not bad. Like, you have so many options for land, it's great. Sanctum of Ugin. I mean, if you have enough colorless creatures to make it work, it's basically a land that draws you another creature, so it's great late game. Sandstone Bridge is probably the weaker of these lands because +1/+1 in Vigilance is less good, but I mean, it's still fine. It's still, like, you can just play it over a plains, and if you don't get, you oftentimes won't get punished too hard. Shambling Vent is very good and limited if you're in black-white. Shrine of the Forsaken Gods. If you're playing colorless spells, you just get to play this for free without losing too much. Skyline Cascade, a land that makes a creature not untap. Yes, it has to already be tapped, but it's still not bad. Smoldering Marsh, Sunken Hollow, great, play them. Spawning Bed is very good in limited. You get 3 1/1s, and it ramps you. This card's very, very, very good. Like, all the lands are so nice. I'm so happy. Everything is awesome. And that's it. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to check out the other parts, and I'll see you guys next time.